We ended up having to deal with these errors that was as soon as we applied our admin middleware. So let's go ahead and handle it in this video. And it seems like all of our tests that have to do with uploading a series are failing because we need to actually log in as administrator before doing this, right? So why don't we actually log in the administrator right away before doing the test? First, we need a user, right? So factory generate one for the user class and would persist that. Second, we need this user to be an administrator, but then we have that config array that actually does this. So how can we tell Laravel this user should be an administrator? Let's head over to our config class provided by Laravel to see if we can find a way to do this. So repository.php, and actually if you browse the Laravel files, you know in the Illuminate config directory we have this repository.php where the config class itself exists. Okay, so that class that implements the config contract. So let's browse the methods that we have here. We have a hash key or a hash method, a get method, a get mini method, a set method, a prepend method, and I think what we're looking for is actually this push method. So push a value onto an array configuration value. And actually if you go through the Laravel documentation, you notice that it's highly recommended to actually push to the config or set to the config at runtime rather than mocking the config class. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. So we have our config facade and we can get to the push method and we are pushing to broadcast.administrators. That's the array that we have in our broadcast.php. Then we are pushing a value, and that value should be the user we just created and his email, right? So create a user, then push the user's email to the administrators array, and then finally what we want to do is log the user in, right? So this acting as user. So before we run this test, let's just make sure we import our use config at the top. Then let's run out the test. Oh, look at that, we're down to 4 failing tests. Okay, so this first one is actually succeeding because we're an administrator and we have the right to do this. So rather than duplicating this solution every single place we want to have an administrator, why don't we create a custom administrator method that is going to help us log in an administrator? What I want to do is actually reference this login admin method, and this is automatically going to generate an administrator and log him in. Okay, so I'm just going to cut this out. So where do we put this? We have a testcase.php. If we check out, this extends testcase, therefore we can use testcase, and testcase is in our test directory. So let's head over to that directory, testcase.php, and we can put that in. So public function login admin, and paste that functionality right there. Okay, so we have a factory, therefore we need to import our user class. So use broadcast user, then use config, and I think that should do it, right? So get the user, make sure the user is created as an administrator, and then log the user in. Okay, so that's what our login admin method does. Let's run this test alone to make sure that it still passes, and it does pass. Therefore, we just need to duplicate this solution to all our tests that we're filling. Like this one, we need to be logged in as an administrator before it works. Same here, same here, same here, and this one doesn't require that. Okay, so let's run all our test suite now to see if we actually have a difference. Great, looks like our test suite is successfully running and we finally fixed all our errors.